It seems like everywhere you look, there's a new product or treatment promising us perfect skin. You
Right.
know, like the creams and the serums and the masks.
Oh, yeah.
But what if we told you that one of the most powerful tools for healthy, glowing skin is actually something you have way more control over? And
Hmm.
that's what you eat.
Food.
Yeah. We're so excited to dive into this topic today, and we have a really fascinating source to guide us, a video from Pickup Limes that explores the science behind how our diet can literally nourish our skin from the inside out.
I love that channel.
It's so good, right?
So we're going to be taking a deep dive into their video and kind of like unpacking some of the key insights and seeing how they relate to, all the common skin concerns that we all think about.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great.
You know, it's funny because we often forget that our skin is actually our largest organ,
It is
and it's a direct reflection of our inner health.
so true.
So, while those topical treatments, those creams and things definitely have their place, for sure.
This deep dive is really about understanding the huge impact that nutrition has on our skin's health and resilience.
Yeah, and I love that the video emphasizes that it's not about like striving for some kind of flawless ideal.
Right.
Because things like blemishes and wrinkles, those are just a natural part of life.
They are.
But it's more about understanding how our food choices can help our skin be as healthy as possible.
Exactly.
So one of the first things that the video really dives into is this idea of a foods first approach,
Mm.
which I think is so important because, we see so many supplements out there
Oh,
promising all these like magical results.
yeah.
But the video encourages us to think about giving our skin the building blocks it needs through our diet before we even think about reaching for a supplement.
Yeah, like food should be our first line of defense.
Exactly.
And a great example of that is collagen.
Collagen.
We hear so much about it, right?
Yeah,
But fundamentally, collagen is a protein.
it is.
It's the main structural protein in our skin.
Right? It forms that like network that gives our skin that firmness and elasticity.
Exactly. And that's what, contributes to that youthful appearance that a lot of people are looking for.
But the thing is, our collagen production naturally declines with age.
Unfortunately, it does, usually by about 1% per year, starting around age 20.
Yeah, so it's a gradual process, but it definitely plays a role in the changes that we might see in our skin over time.
Absolutely. So while collagen supplements are, incredibly popular,
Oh, yeah.
the video's approach is really to prioritize whole food sources of protein.
Okay.
So things like beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, nuts, seeds.
So many good options.
Yeah, these are all excellent sources of protein that provide your body with the raw materials it needs to actually produce its own collagen.
It's like giving your body the tools to do the work itself.
Exactly.
So we've got the building blocks with protein.
Yes.
But what about the collagen that we already have?
All right.
The video talks about how things like sun exposure pollution and even those free radicals can actually damage the collagen in our skin.
Yeah, those are some major culprits.
So how do we protect against that?
Well, that's where vitamin C and E come into play.
Okay.
They're like the dynamic duo of skin health.
I love that.
Vitamin C is crucial for building new collagen.
Okay.
You think of it as the architect, drawing up the plans for that new collagen structure.
Okay. I like that analogy.
And then you've got vitamin E, which acts like the foreman on a construction site, protecting that existing collagen from damage.
So it's like protecting the structure that's already there.
Exactly. They work together to maintain that, strength and integrity of your skin's support network.
And the video gives us some really good examples of where we can find those vitamins.
It does.
So for vitamin E, we're talking about things like almonds, sunflower seeds, leafy greens, peanuts, avocados.
Lots of delicious options.
All things that you can easily incorporate into your meals and snacks.
Absolutely. And for vitamin C, citrus fruits are well known.
Of course.
But don't forget about bell peppers and broccoli.
Oh, yeah, those are great too.
They're packed with vitamin C.
So really eating the rainbow is super important here.
It's key.
Okay, so we've talked about protein, we've talked about vitamin C and E.
Yes.
What's next on our list of skin-loving nutrients?
Let's move on to zinc.
Zinc.
It's often overlooked when we're thinking about skin health,
Yeah, it's not the first thing that comes to mind.
but the video highlights its crucial role in wound healing.
Okay.
And it's also got some pretty powerful anti-inflammatory properties.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it can be really helpful if you're dealing with skin conditions like acne, psoriasis, eczema, even rosacea.
Wow, so that's a pretty wide range of benefits for one mineral.
It is, and luckily for us, zinc-rich foods are readily available in a plant-based diet.
That's good news.
We've got nutritional yeast seeds like pumpkin sesame and hemp legumes like beans and lentils, tofu whole grains.
Sounds like eating for healthy skin also means eating a lot of delicious and diverse foods.
Exactly.
Now, the video does bring up something interesting about zinc absorption from plant-based foods. It mentions these compounds called phytates that can sometimes interfere with how well our bodies can absorb the zinc.
Yeah, that's an important point to consider.
So tell me a little bit more about those phytates and what we can do about it.
Sure, so phytates are found in plant foods like beans, grains, nuts, and seeds.
Okay.
And they can bind to zinc in our gut, making it harder for our bodies to absorb.
Oh, I see.
But the good news is that there are simple things we can do to reduce phytate content and improve zinc absorption.
Like what?
Well, soaking beans, grains, nuts, and seeds before you cook or eat them.
Okay.
That can significantly reduce their phytate content.
So it's like an extra step in your food prep, but it can really make a difference.
Exactly. And there are other techniques like sprouting and fermenting.
I just remember you did a whole video on sprouting.
I did.
So if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely check that out.
It's a game changer.
Okay, so moving on, let's talk about hydration.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that drinking enough water is important.
Absolutely essential.
But the video makes some really interesting distinctions about how hydration directly relates to skin health.
It does.
So let's break that down.
Yeah. So when we're dealing with dry skin.
Which is something I think we all experience from time to time.
Oh, yeah, especially during the winter months.
Right, and sometimes it can be tempting to just like slather on a bunch of moisturizer.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
But the video emphasizes that in addition to those topical treatments, we should really be thinking about hydration from the inside out.
Right, and a key player in that is dietary fat,
Okay.
particularly omega-3 fatty acids.
So how do omega-3s help with hydration?
Well, they play a crucial role in improving the function of our skin barrier.
Oh, that's right.
You can think of that barrier as like a protective shield that helps your skin hold on to moisture.
Okay.
And when that barrier is functioning optimally, it prevents that, tight, uncomfortable feeling of dryness.
So it's like strengthening our skin's natural defenses against moisture loss.
Exactly. And the good news is that there are plenty of plant-based sources of omega-3s.
Tell me more.
We've got walnuts, hemp seeds, chia seeds, ground flax seeds, and even algae-based omega supplements.
So many options.
Yeah. And it's really about incorporating these healthy fats into your diet regularly.
Okay, now what about drinking water itself?
Right.
Because, we're always told to drink tons of water for good skin.
Oh, yeah, 8 glasses a day.
But the video clarifies that while staying adequately hydrated is super important for overall health.
And of course, that indirectly benefits our skin.
Right.
Simply drinking like excessive amounts of water won't magically cure dry skin.
Unless you're actually dehydrated.
Right.
It's really about maintaining that consistent, adequate hydration as part of a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. Hydration is like the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Makes sense.
So now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about sebum production,
Okay, sebum.
that oily substance that our skin naturally produces.
Right, it's essential for keeping our skin lubricated, but too much of it can lead to clogged pores and then, acne, blackheads.
Exactly. And the video touches on how hormonal fluctuations can play a role in sebum production.
Of course, hormones are always a factor.
But what's interesting is that the video also suggests a potential link between diet and sebum production.
I'm intrigued.
Specifically, it points to a higher intake of sugar and dairy as being potential culprits.
Okay, so tell me more about this connection between food and sebum.
Well, it all comes down to the concept of high glycemic foods.
Okay, I've heard of the glycemic index, but remind me how that works.
Sure, so high glycemic foods are foods that are quickly broken down into sugars in the body.
So, like, what kind of foods are we talking about?
Things like sugary drinks, refined grains like white bread, and processed sweets.
Okay, yeah, those are all the usual suspects.
Right, and these foods cause rapid spikes in our blood sugar and insulin levels.
And how does that affect our skin?
Well, that surge in insulin can actually stimulate our skin to produce more sebum.
Oh, wow, so it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly.
So if we want to keep our sebum production in check, we need to be mindful of those high glycemic foods.
And on the flip side, the video emphasizes the benefits of focusing on low glycemic foods.
Okay.
These are foods that release sugar into our bloodstream at a much slower, more steady rate.
So give me some examples of those low glycemic superstars.
Sure, we're talking about non-starchy veggies.
Okay.
Whole grains like quinoa and oats, tofu edamame nut seeds.
Sounds like a delicious and balanced way to eat.
It is. And by prioritizing these foods and limiting those high glycemic sugary options, we can potentially help our bodies regulate sebum production more effectively.
It's like creating a more stable internal environment that then reflects on our skin.
This.
Okay, so now let's talk about something that I find super fascinating,
Okay.
and that's the gut-skin connection.
Yes.
The video touches on this idea that our skin can really be a window into what's happening inside our gut.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
We have trillions of microorganisms living in our gut.
Trillions.
Trillions.
That's mind-boggling.
It is, and it's the balance and diversity of these bacteria, the good guys, as they're often called,
Yep.
that play a significant role in our skin's health.
So if there's an imbalance in our gut, like too many of the not-so-good bacteria,
Right.
could that actually manifest as skin issues?
The video suggests that it could,
Wow.
that an imbalance in the gut microbiome might contribute to things like acne, psoriasis, and eczema.
It's amazing to think that something happening internally can have such a visible impact on our skin.
It is, and one potential way to support a healthy gut microbiome is through probiotics.
Ah, probiotics.
Now, the research is still evolving, but incorporating fermented foods into your diet,
Okay.
things like plant-based yogurts, kimchi, miso, sauerkraut, kombucha.
All those delicious fermented foods,
Exactly.
they can potentially help to increase the population of those beneficial bacteria in our gut.
And in turn, that can have positive effects on our skin.
I love that it's like a win-win.
It is. You get to enjoy delicious foods and potentially improve your skin health.
Exactly.
And one last thing I want to mention
Okay.
is the role of inflammation.
Right, inflammation.
It seems to be at the root of so many health concerns these days.
It really does.
And the video highlights its connection to skin issues like acne, wrinkles, and rosacea.
So how do we combat inflammation through our diet?
Well, the video emphasizes the power of anti-inflammatory foods.
Okay.
And the stars of the show here are plant-based foods.
Makes sense.
Diets rich in fruits and vegetables, which are packed with antioxidants, have been linked to improved skin elasticity, smoothness, and even skin tone.
It's like giving our skin a shield against those damaging free radicals.
Exactly. Antioxidants help to neutralize those unstable molecules that contribute to both inflammation and those visible signs of aging.
So it really reinforces this message that a whole food, plant-predominant diet is so beneficial for our skin.
Absolutely. It's like providing your skin with the ultimate nourishment.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
What would you say are the most important takeaways for our listeners to remember?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to remember that there's no quick fix or miracle food when it comes to skin health.
Right, it's not about finding that one magic ingredient.
Exactly. It's about making consistent long-term changes to our eating patterns.
It's a lifestyle, not a fad diet.
Exactly.
Burn.
And secondly, while nutrition is incredibly powerful, it's also important to remember that it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right, we can't forget about things like hormone stress and medication.
That's all play a role too.
But nutrition is something that we do have a lot of control over.
Absolutely. We get to make those choices every single day.
Exactly.
And I think one of those empowering messages from the video is that we have the power to influence our skin health through those food choices.
I love that.
It's about understanding that connection between what we eat and how our skin looks and feels.
So as you're listening to this, think about which of these areas resonated with you the most.
Yeah.
Was it supporting collagen production? Was it getting enough zinc?
Was it focusing on hydration
Or maybe managing sebum production or nourishing your gut?
or fighting inflammation?
And then see if you can start incorporating more of those foods that we talked about into your daily meals.
And just observe how your skin responds over time.
It's really about making those small, sustainable changes that can have a big impact in the long run.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive really highlights that our daily food choices aren't just about, fueling our bodies.
Right.
They're also an act of self-care and an investment in our overall well-being.
And our skin is often a beautiful reflection of that internal nourishment.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you learned something new, and we'll see you next time.